All right, we are live. The Week 13 recap and playoff preview podcast. Tonight, I have with me the owner of In League with Satan, Rick. How are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Good to have you on board. All right, so let's just get some administrative things out of the way. League notes. Non-playoff teams still in contention for weekly high score, as well as Stiff Arm and myself who have buys. So everybody's still playing for that $12, which is good. The Wilson versus Bortles bet update. They basically both scored 34 points last week, so Josh still kicking my ass by 25. Wilson's got 114 and Bortles has 89. No trades, as we know, until the off season. And that's really it on the league notes. So, Rick, haven't had you on this year. It's great to have you. It's been a while, but I do want to go back all the way back to the draft, if you could imagine that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, you haven't had you on. I have to ask some questions about it. So, you only made two picks. First round, pick 9. You took Mariota. I think I talked about it in some of the other pods, but I like Mariota, and he has looked really, really good. I think he's going to be a good quarterback for you. I just don't know at that spot if that was the best pick you could have made with considering having Breeze and Roethlisberger on your team. So what was the thought process at pick 9 and taking Mariota there?
Basically, he was the best player on the board, I thought. Any running back I would have wanted was already gone. I had Breeze and Roethlisberger, but they both had the same bye, so I was going to have to pick up a quarterback anyway. And I just like Mariota, thinking that because Breeze has been towards the end of last year was going down. Uh, Roethlisberger was fucking me over at the end of last year. Like I had really poor quarterback play going into the end of last year, so I just figured the best player on the board. He looked like the type of quarterback that could succeed in the NFL. Uh, I didn't really like the team he was on, but it's actually turned out pretty well. So, I mean, it was basically just I knew I was going to need a quarterback eventually. There wasn't really a running back um, that I thought was really going to help me at least this year. And I knew at least if when I had the two quarterbacks on the same bye, at least I have a young quarterback that I knew would play at least. So wasn't much depth into it. It's I just thought he was the best player on the board.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I guess I'm quibbling here a little bit. I mean, Mariota, like I said, looks good. I mean, I don't know if you saw that run. I think he had it this week where it's like 90 yards. There's not many quarterbacks that can break for a 90-yard touchdown. So he's definitely got some skills. I guess my thing back is you didn't have any running backs on the board. That's where I guess we disagree. And I've talked about your team, and you probably yell at the podcast as you're hearing it, but I'm always battering your running back depth a little bit. And in that like at that point, you could have taken a Javorius Allen or a David Johnson. You seem to love the Cardinals back, so I'm surprised you didn't take David Johnson. But I always say depth at running back, so I think taking one of those guys could have also been good. But to your point, Mariota was more of the sure thing, and so again, I'm quibbling a little bit.
Yeah.
But then in round 2, you took Josh Robinson, a running back. But in the end, I'm not sure he was actually the best guy on the board at that point. There were still Matt Jones and Langford. So I guess I just don't know. Did you have a lot of knowledge on the running backs, or did you, after the top 5 guys, did you pretty much say I don't know who they are after that point?
Yeah, I don't know who they are. I looked at I think I was looking at a site that had the running backs listed in order, and according to that one, Robinson was Robinson seemed like the best choice. But I didn't. I barely watch college football at all anymore, so I don't. You know, with the exception of the big names, I don't really know who's going into the draft. I'm not really good with the rookies, and obviously that Robinson pick didn't pan out well.
Again, it's not a huge deal. I hadn't talked to you about the draft, so I wanted to bring that up. We'll get in more to your team since you do have a playoff game, so we'll get more into that in a second. Waiver wire, not many huge moves. I made what I felt is a little shrewd move today, picking up Hightower after I heard that Ingram got hurt. Just not for the fact that he'll probably ever start for me, but I don't want him to be on someone else's team that I'm going to have to face in the playoffs coming up in the next few weeks. So, yeah, little cop block there. Exactly. And to my point on the Arizona running backs, I saw you picked up Kerwin Williams. So do you have every Arizona running back except David Johnson, I guess? Or
yeah, except the one I wish I had, but obviously he wasn't available. I mean, it's been no secret that my running back depth is really weak. If any move I've done in the last 2 years for running back hasn't really helped out, except for I picked Stewart up in the draft I think last year, and he's worked out. But Ellington's been hurt constantly. Spiller's not going to touch the ball. So when I got Chris Johnson, because I feel like my my flex stuff, my wide receivers and Barnridge at tight end are strong enough flex players that I only really need 2 starting running backs. The problem is I only have 1 because the other guy's always hurt. So I handcuffed Johnson, or I handcuffed Ellington when Johnson did well. When he went down, I couldn't get the other Johnson, so I got Taylor because he was supposed to be the next, and he got hurt. So
you know more about the Arizona backfield than I think anyone in
yeah, it's been a crash course, but I figure I think I'm actually I'm still debating whether I'm going to start him. I guess it depends. I mean, they're playing tomorrow, so I can't believe. I mean, I'm just hoping he's going to get some touches, and maybe I'll get lucky and he'll find the end zone, and get me around 10 points. If that's probably not going to happen, but there at least he might get some touches in trading off of Johnson.
Yeah, he looked pretty good last week actually as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So, all right,
yeah, I have the entire backfield except for the one who's actually starting.
The Sharks made a few moves. I mean, they're kind of flyers. Terrence West, Jawan Thompson may have some play with C.J. Anderson hurt. Then he picked up the tight end Clive Walford. Not so sure about that, but I guess he's a young tight end with some upside. Not really anything else after that. Week 13. So some big games last week, important games. Going to your game first. Actually, I did pick you to win in the picks last week, and that did come true. You kind of blew out the Nates, which I was a little surprised at. I wasn't expecting it to be a blowout.
Yeah.
1 point on the Nates. I mean, again, I think this is the 3rd week in a row I've said it, and I said it when he was on the podcast. Coaching decisions are going to be tough for this team. He left Watkins and Crabtree on his bench and missed out on 30 points. I mean, he's got to be worried about that going into his matchup this week with Josh. How did you feel last week? I mean, were you pretty? I mean, it was pretty comfortable most of the day, right? Was there any point you were nervous about losing that, or?
Well, when what's his face when Newton was going off at the end, he for the first half he was kind of having just a not a bad game, but like a normal game, and then he just he just kept going off. So I was a little nervous about that because Mariota I'd kept on the bench, and he ended up with a really good point total. So I was thinking, maybe because I always screw something up. A couple weeks ago, I didn't have Baldwin in, and that lost me a game because Baldwin wasn't doing shit, and all of a sudden, the last 2 or 3 weeks, he's been on fire. So I mean, my team's not nearly as deep as the Nate's, but I've been having the same problem. Like I just always make some stupid mistake and leave points on the bench. So I mean, I didn't expect to win last week just because again, I don't have that second starting running back. If Johnson didn't get hurt, I mean, I give shit for all the smoke and mirrors comments because I don't think it's all smoke and mirrors. I just think when my team's healthy, it's good, but it's not deep. So when it's not healthy, it still has the ability to put up some good numbers, but it's a crapshoot. So Nate's kind of had the same thing. They have, I mean, I kind of won it with the, like like the lower, if you look, if you go down like position to position, we were kind of doing the same thing. Both had really good quarterback play. Both had one running back who did well and one running back who did crappy. Both had one starting wide receiver that did well and one starting wide receiver that did crappy. And then, when we got to the way I separated myself is my flex players were stronger. And that's where the difference came.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm looking at it now. Very good point there. You also got 9 points out of your defense, the Cardinals, and he got 0 out of the Panthers, which was surprising against New Orleans.
Yeah.
And your kickers, you got 4, he got 2. So, I mean, your tight end was also a difference maker. Olsen right now, without Gronk in healthy, he's obviously, to me, the one tight end. I mean, with Gronk, he's probably number 2.
Yeah.
He's pretty consistent. Newton loves him, so.
Yeah, but Newton loves running stuff in by himself, doesn't he? I'm constantly yelling at why he doesn't give it to either Stewart or throw it to Olsen.
Stewart's looked pretty good. I mean, we'll get more into your matchup this week because I kind of did a player projection since there's only 2 games that matter really this week. I also reached out to Berto and he gave me his projections as well. So I think that'll be interesting when we go through that. Next game that was really important actually was Stiff Arm against the Pieces. The Stiff Arm won by something like 0.24 points.
That was crazy.
And they were able to get the number 2 seed and what really is important, that bye. I mean, that's a little bit lucky there. I think he would have lost to a lot of teams. I can look at it now. He would have lost to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the other 10 teams had he played them this week. So scheduling gods definitely in his favor on that one. But he got the bye.
He had Witten going into the last game, right?
What's that?
He had Witten going into the last game.
He had Witten. He needed like 4-point-something points, and he just made it. So
yeah, I remember because I looked at it and I was like, oh, of course he's going to get 4 points. And then I looked actually at the history, and actually like the previous 3 games he wouldn't have got it if you looked at because Witten just wasn't scoring because Romo out.
And that Dallas offense disaster.
Yeah.
Actually, since that came up and you're a Giants fan, that NFC East is a disaster. I mean,
it's almost embarrassing. I mean, it's
who's leading that division? Like, I haven't looked at the standings, but it's like, is Dallas in the lead for that division now? Like, I'm confused.
I haven't actually looked at the standings, but I guess it's the Redskins and the Giants were a game ahead of Dallas, I think. So, no, Dallas was in the floor, so it might all be tied up now. I don't even know. It's. I think the Redskins are technically still in first.
Even
after the loss.
I just pulled it up. Yeah, they're all 4 teams tied at 5-7, and Dallas is 4-8. I think Washington has the advantage because they're I don't know what the tiebreaker is. Washington and Philly are both 2-2 in the division. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the tiebreaker is.
It goes like head to head, right?
Yeah, so the way they have it listed, they have Washington in first, so that's probably how the tiebreaker works out. But that's ridiculous. Three teams at 5-7, and the other team's 4-8. So that's going to be
Yeah,
it's going to be one of those times where a losing record is probably going to come out of that division, which is crazy.
yeah. It's being a Giants fan. I mean, in theory, they could have a great record there. They could have beat the Jets. They could have beat the Patriots. The first two games of the season, they easily could have won. Um, so they in theory they could have a great record, but they're, make no mistake, they're not a good team.
But that's the crazy part. If they win that division, I believe how it works is they'll get a playoff home game, the first round of the playoffs. So I mean, anything can happen once you get in. So
True, true. I just don't think their defense is just so bad.
yeah, the defense is not that good.
Yeah, I mean, and they sucker you in because they'll play well for like a half, and then I'll be like, oh, well, maybe they're, and then at the end of the game, they can't stop anybody. So
Yeah. Well, Stiff Arm got the bye, so he's, I'm sure, smiling and he's happy.
yeah,
The other games, we had the Sharks. They got their win pretty comfortably, actually. And they were kind of they were outside looking in before the week started, and they needed Mr. Minor to play spoiler, and that they did,
yeah, that's
knocking
crazy.
the mighty Stash, out of the playoffs. I posed this question to somebody on text. I can't remember who. Hopefully it wasn't you. But is Stash the best team to not make the playoffs in fantasy, in our league at least, like in the
Um,
last few years?
I would have to say so. I mean, I can't remember. He's what? He's fifth in points, right?
I believe
Um,
so. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if we've ever had someone fifth in points. I mean, I'm sure we probably had someone sixth in points who maybe that didn't make the playoffs, but I don't think we had someone fifth in points.
Yeah. And he's kicking himself. He's quick to put the blame on himself. He made some bad coaching decisions. He missed Rawls one week, and he pointed out another silly move that he made that probably could have had two other wins and obviously been probably pretty comfortably in the playoffs. So he's definitely a team. I mean, now he's got the sixth pick, so he's already got a deep team, so he's going to probably get a pretty decent player there. So that's scary for everyone else in the league. So he'll be back next year, I'm sure, with a vengeance.
Yeah, I mean, he it seemed like he kind of rose and fell with the Packers. Like when the Packers kind of started falling off, all of a sudden, when Lacey wasn't producing the way he used to, and and Rodgers not getting the crazy games he used to, you know, you hit someone with a hot hand, and you can easily lose.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, the Sharks won pretty easily. Uh, my Maulers won easy, and the Jugs won pretty easily as well. So the playoffs are set. Can I go into that? I guess before we get into the playoffs, I sent out the thing, but the battle for the top pick has settled. The pieces are going to get it. I usually wouldn't say you're lucky to lose, but the pieces were pretty lucky because had they somehow won that game, they would have dropped to fourth in the draft. So I think they need that talent. I don't know exactly. I haven't looked. To your point, Rick, I haven't looked at who the best prospect is coming out. I don't think Fournette comes out this year, the LSU running back. I think he's going to I think he has to stay another year. I'm actually not quite sure on that, but I don't know who the top pick in the draft is, but the pieces need talent. So getting that number one pick is pretty important. Number two pick, J.R. Rules, Lamaka, then Jasshole. I think you saw his displeasure, I guess, with how we're breaking the ties there with the tiebreaker is points. I personally think it's the fairest way because I think the worst teams need to get the top picks. What's your viewpoint on that?
What did he think it should be? Division record?
No, I asked him for a suggestion, and he said coin flip or random draw. I'm like,
Oh.
I said no thanks to that. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, points seems one of the best. The only one, if it were the fairest thing, I would think it would if you really want the best team, it would be the power ranking breakdown. Whoever had higher in that, I would think, because that's you again going against everyone every week. So that I think that's the best stat that shows how good a team you are. Like that's the like record, you know, like look, let me see if I can illustrate my point.
Are you talking about the power ranking or the breakdown? Because I think
The
they're two different.
breakdown part of the power ranking. So the power ranking is a total of the record points and breakdown. So the breakdown stat, I think, is probably a little bit more accurate of saying what's a better team than just total points. Um, but total points is. I mean, I have no problem using total points. I think most leagues do that, so it's not like it's an aberration.
So that's an interesting suggestion there. I'm trying to look it up. I'm looking it up right now, and actually, if we went by that, JR Rules would actually move up to the top pick. Mr. Minor would actually get the second pick. Then the Lamicas, then the Pieces at 4, then Jassal. So Jassal would actually drop a spot if we went that route. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at that more because I'm not sure how I understand how Minor would get the number 2 pick because he had a 5-8 record. He had a better record than all those other 4 teams. So it's something interesting. Maybe it's an off-season vote that we need to track to how. Okay. I like that suggestion. That's at least another way to look at it. When you're looking at those teams, because I spew on here every week about my opinions, who's good, who's not. People take it as they will, but what is your view on these lower ranked teams? Like, who is your dog of all dogs, or who do you feel is in the, let's say, has the most need for improvement going into next year? As a maybe nicer way to say
it. I don't know. I could easily trade plays with them next year, so I don't want to piss anyone off.
Come on, don't put it all on me. I always.
I mean, in all honesty, I mean, probably the best one is Huge Asshole. I would think he's the one. I mean, and this is just anecdotal. I don't have like the data in front of me, but I felt like he was a feast or famine. Like he was putting up either huge numbers or crappy numbers. But like worst, I mean, it was Alamica for a while, but they turned it around because they were they had only one win for a long time, but they ended kind of strong. So I guess Reese's Pieces is obviously the biggest whipping boy. So I guess I'll jump on that. Let me just look at his team. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to trade teams with him. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'll piss off people again, but I think it's JR Rules is in the need of the most improvement, to be honest with you. But I don't think the Pieces are that far behind. All right, let's get into the playoff preview here and picks as well. Last week I was 5-1 in my picks, best week so far. Year to date, 28-20, 8 games over 500 for the first time, which I'm pretty happy about. Not that it means anything, but since I'm making the picks, I might as well track them. All right, so let's. What's that?
You're not the kiss of death anymore?
I guess not.
Whenever you used to pick me, I used to lose, but I guess that changed this year.
Yeah, well, wait for it, because. All right, so let's do the game preview. Let's. You want to start with your game, or you want to start with the other game?
Let's start with the other game.
All right, the other game, we got the Graceful Nates against the NYC Sharks. This is a 3-6 matchup. I already put it in the site, but just a reminder so everything's clear. The Nates, as the 3 seed, get a 6-point advantage in this round. In the semifinal rounds, the number 1 and 2 seeds get a 3-point advantage going in. So I was already able to add the 6 points to the Nates score. So if you go into the site, you'll already see they have a 6-0 lead. Looking at their matchup this year, they played once, and the Sharks won 94-87 in week 10, so not that long ago. If they played every week, the Nates would have held a 7-6 advantage. So, again, pretty evenly matched squads here, it seems. On average, the Nates scored 111 and the Sharks scored 102. So maybe the Nates a little bit more consistent with their scoring, a little higher scoring team. We go into the matchup. Maybe we go through it position by position. And like I said, CBS has their projection. I made a projection. I also reached out to Berto, and he gave his projection. And we'll kind of go through it. You can maybe throw it. If you have a number in mind, you could throw it out. If you don't worry about it. Quarterback, Nates have Cam Newton. I love him. He's been playing great. Well, I love him if I had him on my fantasy team. I don't really like him as a person. I think he's smug and a little obnoxious. I think you sent me a text. You didn't really like him too much either.
No, I don't. I mean, as a person, but he's and for a while he wasn't even really that great a fantasy quarterback. He had some ups and downs, but he's doing really well now. So I think the Nates have the edge there, definitely.
Yeah, I think I mentioned him in one of the podcasts for MVP. I think I like him over Brady. I just think I don't know. He has, except for Olsen, he's got no weapons. I don't know how the hell he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, he can run. He runs it in a lot. So and that's obviously a bonus in our league for points. So he's just, yeah, he does. He goes to Olsen a lot, which is good for me. But he's a running quarterback who is on a good team. So and he's got, he does the wide receiver. Who's his number 1 wide receiver? It's
well, right now it's who the hell is it? I mean,
he kept
Ted
going to him.
Ted Ginn Jr.
Yeah. Again, so I mean, I've been really bad about watching football this year, but when I was watching that game, that last game, like I don't know what his final stats was, but it seemed like, and maybe it's just because I wanted him to throw to Olsen, but it seemed like that guy was that Ginn had like an amazing game that game. So
yeah, he dropped.
He's got
because his score could have even been better because he dropped a few bombs where he was wide open.
Oh yeah,
he has glass hands or brick hands or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, so if you got a great tight end, you got a wide receiver you trust, and you can run the ball, especially in goal line situations. That's enough to be a pretty solid fantasy player, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. On the Shark side, they have Carson Palmer. Obviously, no slouch either. The one knock I'm going to put on him this week, and it's not really a knock on Palmer, but he plays on the Thursday night game, which doesn't usually lead to huge quarterback numbers just because of the short week. So I wonder how that will affect his output. So at the quarterback position, I, like you, am giving Cam Newton a slight edge. I projected him at 23 points and Palmer at 20. CBS projected him at 23 and some percentage points and Palmer at 22. And Berto projected Newton at 19 and Palmer at 27. So Berto's expecting a huge game out of Palmer. They are facing that Atlanta. He is facing that the Minnesota defense. So Berto's obviously not afraid of the Thursday night situation. You're giving the edge also to Newton?
Yeah, I mean, Palmer's got a nicer matchup, I think, but Newton, I mean, I would go even higher. I'd go, 26 for Newton.
26, all right.
Yeah, I like around 22 for Palmer, but I'd go 26 for Newton.
All right.
Hopefully all to Olsen.
Okay, good. Next spot we'll go to is the first running back position. The Nates have Todd Gurley. The guy didn't play the first few games because he was injured. Came in like a ball of fire, was scoring like mid-20s, was going crazy. Last 4 games, not as good, though, averaging 8 points, and he's only gotten 3.5 points average the last 2. Still think he's a good play, obviously. You're not going to bench him. He's facing Detroit. Their defense actually has looked a little bit better. But I projected a 10. The site projected 12, and Berto projected 11. So we're all around that 11 number. Thoughts on Gurley?
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with that. I like that. Yeah, he's a great running back. He's maybe in a little bit of a slump, but I could see him blowing up easily.
So when you look over at the Sharks, this is where I see a little bit of separation in the quality here, where he's got Charles Sims starting at his top back, or the first position for the running back. Sites projecting him at 8. Berto and I both put him at 7. He does have a great matchup facing New Orleans, that shitty New Orleans defense. But he's still a secondary player. He's not the starting back. So to me, he either needs a swing pass that he runs for like 60 yards or score a touchdown to even think about being more than a 7. I think 7 might even be generous. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he definitely you need to get lucky and have him get into the end zone. He's not going to have a big game on his own just with touches or anything. So you're hoping for a big play with him, kind of like I am with my secondary running back.
So what do you say? You agree? Like, can I put you down for a 7 then also?
I'd actually go 5. Go around 5.
Okay, 5 for him. Next running back for the Nates is Latavius Murray. Not a good matchup. He's playing Denver, who just doesn't give up anything to the run. Hasn't been playing that well either. I'm giving sites projecting him for 10. I only gave him 7, and Berto actually gave him a 7 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the last time they played Denver, he got 5.7, which obviously means, yeah, I'd go, well, yeah, he's, he'll get a good amount of touches, though. So, all right, 7. I'll go 7.
Okay, that's fair. Next back for the Sharks is Javorius Buck Allen. Getting a ton of touches. Speaking of touches, he's like the only guy there. But he's also facing a tough defense, playing Seattle. I just think I have him down as 14 points. I actually think he gets a lot of catches out of the backfield, doesn't come off the field. So I'm giving him 14. Berto gave him 13.
Yeah, I'll go with CBS on that and around 10.
10, okay. So
it's a strong defense.
We all 3 of us, I guess, gave Gurley the edge on that one, and it looks like we're all giving Allen the edge on for that position. Mm-hmm. First top wide receiver, Nates have Hopkins, been playing great. To me, the Nates need him to live up to what he's been doing kind of all season if they want this win. I think he is going to have a great game this week. He's facing New England. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game probably, or at least a lot of throwing for Houston. They'll probably be behind most of the games. So I'm giving him 19 points. Berto gave him 15, and the site had him for 13.
See, I can't. My Wi-Fi's. I guess I can't use 2 different devices at the same time. Like nothing's coming up. I'm having a lot of technical issues. Crap, now nothing's going up. Yeah, I can't see his history. I'll pass.
Fair. Then the Sharks, they have a really good wide receiver duo. First one in the first position is Jeffrey. I see a big game coming here. They're playing the Redskins. Uh, I think Cutler's going to look for him. Um, I have him for 15 points, and Berto had him for 14. The site had him for 12.
I like high on that. I'll go 14 there.
14. Okay, so that means it looks like we're giving Hopkins the edge. Second wide receiver for the Nates is Watkins. Has been playing better as of late. He's also facing that friggin' awful Philly defense who gives up tons of points. So that's a nice matchup for him. The site had him only for 8 points projected. I'm giving him 11. Berto gave him 10.
I'll go 12. I like going big on anybody playing the NFC East.
Yeah, I maybe I'm my
NFC East and the Saints. I give them a lot of points.
my estimate might have been a little low there. You might be right. Brandon Marshall is the Sharks' second wide receiver. I mean, this guy's been Mr. Consistency. I'm a Jet fan. I think he has a great chemistry with Fitzy. I just love his play. I gave him a nice big 18. I just think he's going to put up a nice game. Facing Tennessee, I don't think anyone's scared of that defense. Berto gave him a 12. The site gave him a 12.
Oh, I go high. I'm more on your side. I mean, I never really give predictions, but I could see him easily over 20 points. But for prediction purposes, which always seem to be lower, I'll go 16.
16. All right. At tight end, we have Tyler Eifert on the Nates. Still questionable status. Didn't play last week. He's got some kind of neck thing. Will he play? If he has to go to his bench, he's got Ebron at 5 points projected. I don't like. I mean, I think that would be a huge downgrade, and I don't think. I don't think Jonathan would be too pleased to have to put Ebron in there. Especially facing St. Louis. I think they're the best defense against tight ends. So I think he's praying that Eifert plays. If he does play, I projected him at a 10. Berto projected him at a 12. So, like I said, we're projecting 10s there where if he goes to Ebron, it's like a 5. So.
Yeah, I'll go 8 there. Who's he playing? He's playing Cleveland, right?
He is playing Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh. Oh, wait a minute. Who was I looking at? Yeah. I'll go 8 there.
Okay. On the Shark side, they have Delaney Walker. He's been playing pretty damn well all season. 5th best tight end on the year. He's been playing well. He's facing the Jets.
Jets, yeah.
Jets can't seem to stop a tight end to save their lives. I got him with a big fat 12 as opposed to the site at 5 and Berto at 5.
Let's see. He seems to have big games against crappy defenses. I'll go 9.
Okay. At the first flex, the Nates have Run DMC, Darren McFadden. He's only averaged 9 points the last 4 weeks. I wrote down that he has a tough matchup, and he's facing Green Bay. So, yeah, I would say that is a tough matchup. It's at Green Bay. I'm still amazed he hasn't gotten hurt, to be honest with you. I think that's the bigger miracle out of the whole thing. I projected him at a 10. The site had him at a 10, and Berto had him at a 5.
I'll give him an 8 there. He's a good back, but he's definitely underperforming this year. Green Bay is a much better team than anyone in the NFC East. So yeah, I'll give him a. I'll give him an 8. Yeah, an 8.
Okay. First flex for the Sharks is Stefan Diggs. Again, another guy that came on a big burst, some great games, but has slowed down tremendously. This is definitely a little bit of a weakness on the Sharks right now. I mean, that Lynch injury obviously is a killer for the Sharks. Having Lynch in this spot would obviously really improve their chances, I would say. The site predicted a 7, I predicted a 5, and Berto predicted a 6.
Yeah, I'll go with you 5 on that. Arizona's been a really solid defense.
Good point on the defense too.
Yeah, I mean, they're actually my defense, so I'm pretty happy with them. And yeah, and he's really not been doing much recently. So strong defense, and he's underperforming. So yeah, I'll go 5 on that.
The next flex for the Nates is Jeremy Hill. Been playing all right. He's still not really consistent. Basically, his good games tend to be when he scores a touchdown, which he's not doing every week. I guess this one comes down to that question I keep asking or mentioning each week. Is he the right other guy to play? Like, he's got guys on his bench like Crabtree, Jarvis Landry. I don't know if this is where Nates are going to be up into the last minute probably deciding on who's going to fill this second flex position. The site had him at 10.5 points. I have him at 8, and Berto has him at 14. Berto sees a good week for him.
It's against Pittsburgh, decent team. I'll put him at 8. I mean, he's got Landry, who's arguably the same type of player going against the New York Giants. As I've said, I'd play anyone who's going against the NFC East, especially the Giants. Their defense is just terrible. So if I were him, I would be starting Landry.
Landry is projected for more points. He did have a dud last week. I started him in the league, and he got 5 yards. So I don't know if that's what's scaring Jonathan away, but we'll see. I bet you he's going to change that position 3 times, 4 times before Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, you can't fault him for keeping Hill in there, but I mean, it's kind of a coin flip. You just don't know who's going to perform that week.
Yeah.
So I understand the issues. That's basically why I would just go with the weakest defense.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Second flex for the Sharks. I think the advantage here, he's got Martavis Bryant, who I love. They're playing Cincy. That is a tough D, but I just love what Bryant can do. I see a bomb with Roethlisberger. Probably, I mean, the guy seems to score a touchdown almost every game. I have him at 11 points. Berto has him at 13. The site has him at 7.5.
Yeah, the site's really low. I'd put him 15. I like him too.
Is that part because when we get to your team, you got Roethlisberger?
Yeah, well, I hope he does. Yeah, but I don't want him taking anything away from Brown. Everything to Brown.
All right. So I'm
give the ball to him every play.
Giving the edge to Bryant there. Kickers, I don't really care about. We kind of had them at around 8s. No real advantage there. The defense, the Panthers are facing Atlanta, so that's a pretty good matchup because I see Matt Ryan hasn't been playing well. I see him throwing a few picks, maybe a fumble. But then on the other side, you got the Packers. The Sharks have the Packers, and they're facing Dallas with Castle. So that could be a big – we can get some big score. I think the defense can actually be a factor this week in this game.
Yeah. I like the Packers here. I think the Packers, I like the matchup better. You got a good team against a crappy team. I like that better than, a really good defense against a mediocre team. Or, actually, what's Atlanta's record this year?
I don't know offhand, but they started out like 6-1, didn't they? And then they've been pretty shitty.
Yeah, they started. Yeah, so I'd pick Packers here.
All right. So if we go through, we got the advantage at Newton, Gurley, Hopkins, and McFadden. So 4 positions over there. And Josh has Allen, Marshall, Walker, Martavis Bryant, and the defense. I could quickly add up these points, but, well, I can add up your points, but I didn't get all your kicker and stuff. But I have projected a 1-point win for the Sharks, 117 to 116. Berto had it projected at a 1-point win for the Sharks at 118 to 117. And we did not do this together. He did not see my pick. I didn't see. I mean, I saw his when he sent them to me, but so that's pretty crazy. If I'm looking at your scores, the ones you did score, you got 26, 36, 20, 15, 65, 2, 33, 30, 40, 52, 60, 68, 76. On the guys you did score, you had an 82 to 76 win for the Sharks. So all 3 of us, with our projections at least, have the Sharks winning this game.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit of an upset. The Sharks just squeaked into the playoffs, so
Right. They haven't. They've been pretty strong at the end of the season, though. And the Nates have. I mean, they underperformed this week against me. I mean, I do think this game is kind of a toss up. Like it's just who has the better day. If going into it, I would have expected that. I think the Nates have the better team. But as you say, part of that is that they have a much deeper bench, I think, and you can't play everyone on your bench. So, yeah, this is probably going to be the most interesting game of the week.
And that factor, the Eifert factor, we're giving Eifert points here. If he has to go to Ebron, I mean, Ebron can score, but I would much rather have a healthy Eifert than Ebron in my lineup.
That'd be huge. Coming from a guy who has the benefit of a very good tight end, that's a huge advantage, I think, because it helps you. Having a consistent tight end that can put up big numbers, can cover a lot of bad play. Well, not a lot of bad play, but can cover one of your iffy running backs, having a shitty day, or one of your wide receivers, having a shitty day. So it's a big if Eifert doesn't play, that really hurts the Nates, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That could be a big loss if he doesn't have Eifert playing. And the Sharks, I think. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but I think have pretty much been in the playoffs every year and tend to win a game. So if history proves itself true, I mean, our predictions might come true. We'll see what happens over the weekend. All right, moving on to your game, Rick. Let me give you some little background, some stats, and then we'll get into the players here. You won the only meeting, 111 to 94 back in week 6. If you guys played each other every week, you hold a 7-6 advantage. You average 110 points per game, and the Jugs average 112 per game. So pretty evenly matched as far as putting up points this year. So let's get into it. At quarterback, you have a decision to make. To be honest with you, you have a decision every week. You got Roethlisberger, you got Breeze, and Mariota. Right now, I see you have Roethlisberger in, so that's how I did the projections based on Roethlisberger. I like his weapons. I think he does have a pretty tough matchup. I got to pull up your who is Breeze playing this week?
Breeze is playing Tampa Bay.
So yeah, I mean, I see that Breeze is projected for more by the site. I know that doesn't mean much. Has there been some back and forth in your head on that, or did you lock Roethlisberger in and you're kind of comfortable with that?
I'm pretty locked in with Roethlisberger, largely because Breeze has been very disappointing. He's had some really big games, but I haven't been able to count on him at all. And even though he's still a great quarterback, putting a great quarterback that has a pretty crappy offense around him in is just it's not a Roethlisberger has a much better offense, so I just think there's much better potential for points. So
Okay.
it's not even a real question for me.
All right. Good. So
But
Roethlisberger.
if you remember last playoffs, I did this, and it's the reason I lost to Josh.
Well, there you go. So Josh did win last year.
Yeah,
um,
Josh beat me last year, and if I'd started Breeze instead of Roethlisberger, I would have won. So
oh boy.
guess I don't learn from my mistakes.
Hey, it's a different season though. So
Yeah.
Roethlisberger, site has him projected at 15. I actually have him at 19, and Berto has him at 21. So even though the tough matchup, I just think I love his weapons. I just think he's a great quarterback. I just don't see him putting up 15 points. What is your projection on that?
I almost don't want to put a projection for my
You
team
actually
because I
you don't
think
have to
Gibson.
do projections for your own team if you don't want. That's fine.
No, that's stupid. I mean, I'd be very disappointed if he gets below 20 points.
Okay.
Because
I
that
mean that's
means that
right. That's
Brown's
right
probably
between
having a
Berto.
crappy day too. I mean, the good thing about him is he even when he's kind of having a crappy first half, a lot of times he seems to come alive in the second half, and so he's never really out of it. Uh, I mean, he got like 30 something points on a game he didn't even start. Unfortunately, I had him on the bench because he wasn't starting. It was when he was hurt. His backup got hurt, so they brought him in, and he got over 30 points. It's just too. It's a very high-powered offense, and so I see him getting. I'd like him to get at least 25, but I'll say 20.
Okay. On the jug side, they have Russell Wilson. I mean, he has been on fire ever since I made that bet with Josh. He's trying to prove me wrong. Um, Site has him at 18 or 19 points. I have him at 17. Berto has him at 20. The matchup against Baltimore is good. Um, uh, I kind of think this is a wash between the two quarterbacks.
Um, yeah, I mean, a couple weeks ago, I would have felt better about this, but Wilson's been last 3 weeks has been nuts. I don't see that
About when I made
changing.
the bet, you would have felt a lot better about this.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I see him. I'd be shocked if he gets below 25 points, but so I'll say
25.
20,
Wow.
23.
23. Okay. All right.
Yeah, my official prediction is 23, but
Okay. First running back, you are starting Jonathan Stewart. I really like Stewart this week. Again, I don't like Atlanta hasn't stopped any running back pretty much all season. Um, I think you need him. We talked about your running back situation. You need Stewart right around 15 points minimum. I mean, if he gives you 15 or if he gives you like 8, you're going to be probably in a heap of trouble. I have him coming in right. The site's predicting him at 10 pretty much. I'm projecting him at 14. I just feel he's going to have a good week this week against Atlanta, that shitty defense. So I have him down as 14. Berto has him at 12.
yeah, I mean, I have him around 10. But yeah, I need him to have a good game. I need him to find the end zone. Simple as that. Or I'm done for because Williams isn't going to pick up the slack. Uh, so yeah, I'm at 10.
All right. On the jug side, that great pickup they made during the draft, D'Angelo Williams. He's filling in for Le'Veon Bell, who's on IR, also owned by the Jugs. Just like you need Stewart, I think he needs D'Angelo Williams as well. Site has him at 15. I have him at 17, and Berto has him at 16.
Yeah, I'll have him at 15. He's going against a decent defense, but he scares me. He's how has he done the last couple of weeks? He's been really good, so he's on a roll. Yeah, So I have him at I'm at 15.
All right, second running back. We talked about it already. You have Kerwin Williams in there. My notes say not sure about this start, and I have a question. I don't know if you had heard it. I think you heard me mention it earlier. I picked up Hightower because Ingram is out for the year. Do you have consideration of throwing Spiller in at this spot, who I assume will get a lot more touches with Ingram out?
Um, um, I've been going back and forth about it. Spiller scares me though. I got to make the decision soon because Williams plays tomorrow.
Oh wow! I didn't factor that in. That's a good point.
So it's
Actually, that's another
I've been going
factor
back
to
and forth
consider.
about it.
Running backs don't.
Spiller.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Spiller's only gotten a decent amount of points when I don't have him in, and generally it's basically because he gets lucky. He breaks a run, and he'll get like 3 touches, but one of them will be a touchdown. He did that a couple times this year. So that's what I'm hoping for either. So there's really I'm kind of hoping for a lucky play for either Spiller or Williams. The injury means Spiller might get some more touches, so I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. I feel like I don't know.
No, I don't think it's a clear. I don't think it's a slam dunk, or I would have said it's a slam dunk. So,
Right.
I know you've probably been burned by Spiller. He's hot and cold, and I'm sure he's hot when you have him on the bench and cold when you have him in your starting lineup. But Kerwin Williams, I don't know anything about, like, I've heard of him, and I saw him play last week, but I have to assume that Spiller is going to get the ball more than Kerwin Williams. That doesn't mean he's going to do anything with it, but
right.
touches have to be effective. I mean, Spiller is a talent where if he gets one touch, he can break it for 80 yards. So, I mean, I agree. It's a tough call, and unfortunately, you don't have that much. You got to make it by like 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So, good luck with that. Maybe do some research tomorrow and see what other people are saying.
My prediction is whoever I start is going to get 2 points, and whoever I have on the bench is going to get 8. So it's not going to be a big number either way.
I hope for your sake that doesn't happen. Well, I'm going to do my predictions based on your starting lineup. The site has him at 5. I have him at 4, and Berto had him at 5.
I have him at 2. Like I said earlier, whoever I'm putting in there, I'm just hoping I get lucky and they find the end zone, maybe get 20, 30 yards. There's no doubt that this is the position that's if I lose is the reason why. I'm basically just hoping that someone else has a monster game to kind of average it out. Like, I definitely think the Jugs are going to win this game. We haven't really gotten to the overall prediction, and this is the biggest reason. Like, I do not have a second starting running back, so he's going to get 2 points.
Yeah, since you brought it up again, I forgot to ask it when we were talking earlier. Going into next season, we can't make a trade now, but going into next season, you'll still have Breeze, Roethlisberger, and Mariota. I assume Mariota is part of your future, so I don't think it'll be tough to make an off-season trade for a running back with Roethlisberger and Breeze, considering their age. But during the season, if an injury goes down, having those 2 guys. Having that one extra of the 2 guys is a nice chip to have and may allow you to peel a running back off someone like me, for instance. If Brady went down and if I needed a quarterback in week 5 or something like that next season. So having that at least gives you a chip. Obviously the draft, obviously waivers, but yeah, definitely improving the running back needs to be a focus for your team.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. On the Jug side, he's got Doug Martin, the muscle hamster. I really like the matchup against that shitty New Orleans D again. I have him as having a huge game 17 points. Sight has him for 13, and Berto has him even a bigger game at 22 points.
Yeah, I have him at 20. New Orleans defense sucks. We've talked about it. I think I said earlier one of them is if start against the NFC East or New Orleans. Um, Oddly enough, though, at the beginning of the season, he only got 8 points against or 7.8 points when they played at the beginning of the season, but I don't see that happening again. I see big game for him. I'll go 20 points.
All right. Top receiver for you, Antonio Brown. I mean, the guy is, with Roethlisberger in, has just been absolutely outstanding. Averages over 20-plus points when he's got Big Ben in there, and you need that bad. I mean, again, another one. Stewart's important. Antonio Brown just as important. You need a 20-plus point performance to stay competitive in this matchup, and I see it. I just, again, I like Roethlisberger this week, and I think Brown's is just too good to shut down when he's got Roethlisberger. I have him at 22 points, the site at 12, and Berto at 19.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go 15. I need a big game from him. I mean, if he only gets 15, I'll lose, but I don't want to jinx it either. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
tough.
I mean, it was really scary when Ben wasn't playing, and I saw his numbers just like fall like a rock out of the sky. But he's definitely the best player on my team, and I need a big game from him.
All right. On the jug side, Jeremy Maclin. Been playing better lately. Still, I think, a little inconsistent. Does have a good matchup. I believe he's playing San Diego. I have him at 13. The site has him at 11. Berto has him at 8.
Yeah, I see him at 11. I like right around there. He's had a good couple weeks. Good matchup, like you said. So he's a little hot right now, I think, and I see around 10, 11.
Second wide receiver for you, Emmanuel Sanders. I actually think his stock improves with Osweiler in there. I think Peyton was awful, not helping anybody on that team. I like the matchup. They are facing Oakland at home. I see a nice game out of Sanders. I have him at 12. Site has him at 11. Berto had him at 8.
Yeah, Sanders. What could have been. I like Sanders. He gets a lot of targets, but he's been pretty shitty the last couple of weeks. I mean, I think early in the season we were having a conversation, and I was saying how much I liked him, and because I haven't seen a lot of Broncos games, but early in the season he was getting so many targets, and there were so many times I was seeing him beat the defense and Peyton overthrow him by 2 or 3 yards. It was very frustrating, but he was still getting good numbers back then. Now he's kind of fallen off a cliff. So I'm not very confident in him. I'm hoping, I'm hoping for around 10 points at least. Going against Oakland, so yeah, I don't feel confident at all. But obviously, I need a big game from him.
The only thing I'll correct you on there is there's no way Peyton overthrew him. Peyton can't throw the ball 30 yards, so maybe underthrow by 3 yards, but not overthrow. There's no way.
I remember a couple overthrows. It was early in the season. He wasn't tired yet.
Must have been on like a 5-yard out because he can't throw the ball very far. All right, on to the jugs. This is where, to me, it starts getting a lot sketchy for the jugs. When you start hearing some of the names I'm about to rattle off. He's got Golden Tate, hasn't done much all year. I honestly, I don't know why he's in. And then I looked at his bench, and he's really got no one else. It goes back to he's got no depth where he still has Ray Rice on his team and Zach Mettenberger. And, I mean, he's got guys that are just awful. He's got 4 quarterbacks on his team. I don't see Tate doing much. I have him as a 6. The site has him at 7, and Berto really doesn't like him. He's got him at a 4.
Um, I'll put him at 8. Uh, I would agree that it's he's got a very. I think the Jugs have a very similar team to me. Um, I'm probably stronger in wide receiver. They're stronger in running back, definitely. But we both have teams that can put up a lot of points, um, but we have no depth, and so we can't really play a matchup game. But I like. Let's see. He's hit or miss. He's either 5 points or 20 points. And since it's against me, I'm sure he'll do well. So I'll give 8 points on that, a little higher than CBS.
All right. At tight end, we can kind of go through quick because we already talked about it. I love Olsen. I have him at 14. Berto has him at 16. The site has him at 10. I better not hear you say a number lower than 12.
Yeah. I don't want to jinx it, but I'm hoping for about 15 from him.
All right. On the other side, he's got the old man, Gates. You never know. I don't love the matchup. I do think for some reason he'll probably get a touchdown. So I have him at 13. Site has him at 7. Berto has him at 4.
Yeah, he's come on a bit lately. He had a really good game last week. But I don't really know much about him. I'll stick with CBS 8.
Okay. First flex. Again, I see you're having an advantage here. Doug Baldwin. We talked about him earlier. He's been on fire. They have that good matchup against Baltimore. When Jimmy Graham's not there, it just seems like Wilson likes to look for him, so he's getting a lot more targets, which is great. While I'm saying all that, I only have him down for a 7. I don't know if he scores another touchdown this week, but 70 yards would be nice. I also kind of like that he kind of chews into Wilson, where if he gets a touchdown, you're actually getting two more points than Wilson's getting with that touchdown.
Right.
So it's a nice little.
Yeah,
I wouldn't start him for that reason, but it's a nice little benefit to have. You were probably going to start him either way. So
yeah, I mean, he was the last 2 weeks he's been on fire, and he was really really spotty before that. So I actually had him benched. Was it 2 weeks ago? I mean, he had a 30-point game that he was on my bench because he was doing really shitty. But it's hitting at the right time. It's last year I was I had Sanders against Peyton Manning, and every single touchdown went to like Peyton Manning had an insane game, but every single such touchdown went to Sanders. So I ended up it was a big benefit for me, and I forget who had Peyton Manning.
stiff arm.
Stiff arm. And so it's one of those things where you're looking at your quarterback have a sick game, but it's screwing you. I'm kind of hoping the same thing's going to happen here. Baldwin's been a huge part of that offense the last couple of weeks, and I just hope it keeps up so I can if Russell has a great game, hopefully I'm taking all that away from Shrub.
All right.
But as far as numbers,
Yeah.
I'll give him. I'm hoping it continues. I see him with 10 points.
Okay. Berto also had him at 10. I had him at 7. The site had him at 9. On the jug side, first flex, what's his name? James White, the running back du jour of the day for the New England Patriots. He did get 10 targets last week, but you never know what the hell Belichick's going to do. I gave him a 7. The site gave him 8, and Berto gave him a 4.
He had a great game last week. I mean, he's on a high-powered offense, although obviously they're hurting a little bit, but that could help the running game. going against Houston. I'll see them at I'll give them 8.
All right, second flex. We have Deshaun Jackson for your team. God, this guy's so frustrating. I think he scored the last 3 weeks, scored a touchdown.
Yes.
He's so hit or miss because he doesn't get that many targets, but he could get a bomb and a TD. I see him not getting the TD or getting the TD but not getting many yards. So I have him at 7 points. Berto has him at 7, and the site has him at 7.
Yeah, that's probably a fair assessment. Obviously, I'm hoping for more, but he's had 3 good games in a row. I mean, he was injured all of the beginning of the season. He's definitely one of the most, probably the most dynamic, one of the most dynamic offensive players on the team. So, but you're right, he doesn't get as many targets as I'd like. So I'm hoping, yeah, I'd say 8 points. I'm hoping for a big game though. He's the type of guy who can, bust out for 20 points or have 5. So to win, I need a big game from him. And he's on a pretty crappy team, but he's playing Chicago.
Yeah,
It's
they're not
terrible
scaring
matchup.
anyone. I have another one for you to ponder before Sunday, because I would have thought Barnage would have been in there as your second flex. More
Interesting.
consistent in my mind.
I mean, I had Barnridge in a lot as the second flex. Like when I said I had that 30-point game from Baldwin, when he was on my bench, Barnridge was in, but he hasn't been as consistent recently. He had the middle of the season he was great. He was getting like 15 points every week, but he's slack. He's been off, so I think I'm going to stick with Jackson.
Actually, I just talked myself out of it because I remembered that Manziel is starting for Cleveland.
Oh yeah, that's another reason.
Okay, so we'll skip past that. Okay, then we won't. I mean, you have the best kicker in the game, high-scoring team, so I give you an advantage there. And Cardinals, obviously, I think they're awesome. Thursday night matchup, so I like that because, like I said, quarterbacks usually aren't as good. Who the hell are they facing? They're facing Minnesota. Bridgewater, maybe a few turnovers. AP tends to like to put it on the ground, which I won't mind this week since I'm not playing. Yeah, I have you as an advantage on both of those positions. To be honest with you, when we go through it, I'm kind of ignoring the points you gave yourself, and to be honest with you, I felt like you were inflating Schraub, so I'm disregarding the points. Thanks for giving them, but I got a advantage for Wilson at quarterback and D'Angelo at running back, and Doug Martin at running back, and then I have you having an advantage at every other position. With that said, my prediction, going by the projections I just gave, 116 Satan, 104 Jugs, Berto, 122 Satan, 99 Jugs. So we both have you almost even comfortably winning. And I know by the projections you gave, you had Schraub blowing you out of the water. So I hope that you're probably doing your normal reverse psychology, but we both see you actually winning this week when it comes to matchups and just the other thing I missed. Actually, I skipped over it. He has Ingram in his second flex, so that would change his score if he puts someone in. So now that I think about it, I have to do that. But he's got no one on his bench.
No, he took Ingram out. He's got Hartline in.
He doesn't even have Hartline on his team, does he?
Yeah, he does. Unless my thing's wrong.
Oh, he just picked up Hartline while we were on this. Are you kidding me? All right, so he's got Hartline there, but that projected at 5.6 for the site. Again, he's on Cleveland. He has Manziel. he has been getting targets. I'll give him 5, and I'll give him 5 for Berto as well because I don't know what Berto would say. So his total now for me is 109. For Berto, it's 104. So we still both have you as winning the game.
Yeah, I don't know how I mean, obviously, if my big players have sick games, I can win. But with I wasn't that strong at running back to begin with, and
If
where
you
I am
been,
now, I just can't. I don't think I'm going to be able to make up for that second running back spot. So I don't see me winning this week. I definitely can. I'm not saying like there's no way. I put up 140 points last week, and I can do it again, but you can't really bet on that. So
but
I
I
think
like
100. If I get 120 points, I'll be very happy. But I don't see it happening.
I mean, you need Roethlisberger and Brown. If they get 2 touchdowns, if Stewart gets in, Olsen has his good game, and then again, you have the advantage. I feel like kicker and defense, and then you
Yeah,
still have other good players. I mean, I still think you need
yeah.
to consider
Don't get me
Spiller.
wrong.
You got to consider Spiller.
I have a shot, but Schwab has been putting up some big numbers recently.
Okay, but he just lost Ingram. That was like 15 points a week right there.
True, true.
So even if he
Um,
adds in Hartline, he's still probably losing 10 points in that move. So
yeah, I mean, I said it before. I think we have a very similar team, but my second running back spot is
Spiller's
probably
going
going
to
to
be
be too
your
much to
hero.
overcome.
Spiller's going to be the hero, dude.
All right, you sold me. Maybe I think I'm going to put Spiller in.
Well, like I said, don't listen to just me. Maybe I'm not the best, but look up and see what other people are. If other guys are, I don't know how many touches he's been getting, but Ingram's gone. He's not playing. So I mean,
Right, right. Yeah.
I picked up Hightower just again, so no one else would pick him up. But I assume Spiller's going to get at least 15 touches. I mean, I don't think Kerwin Williams is going to get 15 touches.
Sure.
And I know it's not all touches. You got to do something with the touches, but it doesn't hurt.
Right, 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 right. Yeah, we'll see. I got to make a decision quick. But yeah, I do think I'm going to lose this game. I'm not even saying that just because I don't want to jinx it. Maybe a little bit because I don't want to jinx it, but I just I just don't think I have the. I just think I'm too weakened right now. If Chris Johnson didn't get hurt, I like myself. I like my team, assuming it stays healthy. But I'm just not deep, and I have a big glaring injury at running back. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Berto and I didn't see each other's predictions when we were doing ours, and we both have you pulling it out. We both have the Sharks winning. Did you have? I mean, when you gave me your predictions, like I said, when I counted up, you had the Sharks winning. But who do you have winning that game? Because you
in
didn't
my
give me all
mind, I
the.
had the Nates winning. Nates, I think they have a really good team. They just the Sharks maybe are probably, I would say, a little hotter right now. Um, just 'cause, the Nates didn't have that great a week this week. But anytime you got Cam Newton, someone who can run like that, he's got good running backs. Running backs are probably a little bit more steady than wide receivers, which is where I think the Sharks get. I mean, that's going to be probably the best game of the week. Like that one, I kind of see as a coin flip. Um, my game, I think I'll probably lose relatively
All right, your reverse psychology, boy.
handily.
All right, Rick. Well, it was great having you on. Thanks for joining, and good luck in your matchup this week.
Thank you. Good luck enjoying your bye. Hopefully, one of us can just get lucky and beat you. I do like the fact that the jugs are in your in your side of the bracket. At least, well, I guess it's going to be reseeded, right?
Yeah, I mean, it will be if a lower seed wins.
Right. because I think the Juggernauts, I think, are the only team that you have to really worry about, just because when they hit big, they've had a really high numbers, multiple times this year.
Yeah,
I
he
just
had a 147 this past week.
Yeah, so when he's got
But I had
he's
150.
got right, right. I mean, he's got the like I think if he hits you on the right week, he might be able to beat you. Obviously, I wouldn't bet on that, but anyway, I hope someone takes you out. We need some new blood in there.
Man, that's rough. All right.
All right,
Take
take it
it easy,
easy.
man. Thanks a lot.
Enjoy the games.
All right. Bye.